And next, it is time for us to master. Mastering is the point at which you polish everything you've done so far to make it louder and to give it more life. Mastering is more like you are done building the house, you've done the concrete plastering and all of those, then it's time for you to paint. It is also like adding icing on the cake. So at this point, the most important thing to do is to make it sound louder, fatter, and polished. But louder doesn't mean harshness. So you have to watch when you are mastering so that you don't get to spoil all of the things you've done. So you also have to keep a balance. Make it loud, make it thick, give it quality, but don't make it harsh. Let's go to a session that shows you how to master your music with FL Studio.
In here, I have my track already well mixed. Please ensure your songs are well mixed. Now, when you're mastering a track, you don't necessarily need to set the tempo because you're not adding any time-based effects. You're not adding reverb, you're not adding delay, you're not adding phaser, no time-based effects. We're only adding filters and dynamic effects. So we'll link the track. Do not link the track to the master track. Link it to an insert track instead. Then go to your master track and turn off your limiter. We do not need the limiter on while mastering. So listen to the track to hear how it sounds before we get started. Now let's listen.
I don't see my lover. I don't see my lover. Don't see my lover. Don't see my lover. She say she want my body on top her body now. And she say I get it till they make her body back. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down where I from. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby I know.
So that's how the song sounds, well mixed. So now we'll go to the master track already linked. Sorry, we'll go to the mixer track already linked. The first thing we do, we add an equalizer. Now what we're going to do with equalizer is we're going to take away some low end and do some because it sounds a bit too sharp in the high end. Then we'll do some dents in the high end to take off a little bit of high end roll off. Then we'll see what changes again we need to do with the EQ before we move on to the next effect. And remember, you need it to be slight changes. We don't need drastic changes with the EQ or any effect you're going to be using on your master channel. We need it to be slight and moderate. So let's get started.
I don't see my lover. I don't. She say she want my body on top her body now. And she say I get it till they make her body back. Oh yeah. She love every time I hold her hand down where I from. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby I know. See all the girls they look my face, so but nobody I know. Yeah. See nobody I know. See nobody I know but you.
Took out a little bit of the about 1.2 kilohertz, just about less than about 1 to 2 dB out, so that the vocals can sink a little bit more into the beats because the vocal was a bit right, or like was a bit above the beat, so I needed it to sit properly in the beat. So I took out about 1 to 2 decibel, I think about 1.5 decibel to be exact, just a little loud, and it sounds a whole lot better. Then you can see I took out just a little roll off in the low frequency. Remember, when you're doing this, you don't want it to sound too obvious. Just a little is enough. Same with the high frequency, a little is enough. Then what next we'll add is a compressor. We'll look for a compressor under the dynamics. Yes, fruity compressor. So now when you add the compressor, make sure your compressor is it's almost transparent. We just need it to tame a little bit of the peaks and so that we just sound a little bit more level before we send it into maybe a special separator plugin and all of that, or even the limiters. We need it to be a little bit more controlled. So we're going to adjust a little bit of compression. Let's say the attack, let's make the attack a bit slower. Yes, then the release also, then the ratio about five, about 4.9. Let's say about four, between 4 to 5 is okay. Somewhere around here we can adjust later on. So reduce the threshold to somewhere around here. Then we listen, and then we adjust accordingly.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till they make her body back. Oh yeah, she love every time I hold her hand down where I from. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby I
Do not do so much compression that it takes out the low end, or also with EQ, do not do so much EQ that it takes out the low end or the body of the mix. You just do so slightly to have the frequency and the dynamics under control, and then you move on to the next stage. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a little bit of stereo separation. Now, one of the reasons why I like using FL Studio to master is I can just easily do that on the channel line here. Like for example, on this button here, this here means separated, this here means merged. So I just want a little bit of separation, just somewhere around, let's say 10% separation, and that'll be fine. And then next we can use our limiter now. We can use our limiter. Now, a lot of people think mastering is just all about making the song loud. Now, there's a lot you can do during the mastering stage. You can even use to perfect a mix, but do not add reverb, compression, phaser, or any effects that are not either filters or dynamics effect to your master channel. We just need to play with the frequency and the thresholds. Basically, that's all we're playing with in the mastering stage. So now, for the limiter, the ceiling simply means, now different limiters have different looks, but for FL Studio, the ceiling simply means kind of like the threshold where to start working, where to like kind of like a compressor knob where to start working. Now we need the threshold to be a bit all the way up, and then we take the gain also to somewhere around here, and then we listen. Now while it's loud, make sure that it's not distorted, make sure it's not turning red here, and make sure it's not clipping on the channel line here on this meter bus here. So let's listen.
She say she want my body on top her body now. She say I get it till they make her body back. Oh yeah, she love every time I hold her hand down where I from. And she say my baby don't leave me and don't let me down. So baby I know, see all the girls they look my face, but nobody I know.
So now it sounds a whole lot louder, a whole lot cleaner, clearer. So when you are having a distorted feel, when you're making it too loud, that means there's either some issue wrong with your EQ, or you're making over pushing the limiter. So make sure the song does not sound, even if it's not showing red on your display meter or your mix bus, make sure it doesn't have that distorted sound feel, like kind of like when I see the speaker wants to like tear apart. Make sure it's not sounding that way. You need to sound as crystal clear as possible, even if you're trying to make it loud. And also do not make it over loud, because when you upload it to YouTube and other streaming platforms, they try to add their normalizer to it to make it a bit louder than how you initially put the levels at. So you need to create room for your streaming platforms to do their own normalizing or normalization while people are streaming through those platforms. So I had to take down the gain a little bit, even though it was fine somewhere around here before, but I had to take it down because of those streaming platforms that tend to normalize tracks. So this is also a safe place to put it. Another thing you can do, another hack you can use to get past loudness levels is compare it with a song in the same genre that was mixed by a pro, or a trending song that is is well mixed, is well mastered by pros. So you can compare your master to those and see how the loudness, even if it's not at the same level, but it should be within the same range of loudness by listening. Do not drag it into your FL Studio to compare, because when you do that, you're it's just not be on par. So you listen to it on your audio player and your PC. Make sure the volumes are the loudest on your PC. Then you listen to it on your FL Studio and you compare the loudness level. Then when they are at similar loudness levels, then that's fine. And also know that bass heavy tracks are usually not as loud as tracks that do not have bass. So if your track is filled with lots of bass, deep bars, know that it's not be as loud as tracks that do not have bass elements in them. So yeah, that's pretty much how to master your song from scratch in FL Studio.
At this point in this course, you should now definitely know how to go about making your beat, adding melodies to your beat, recording vocals on the instrumentals that you've created, mixing your vocals and your music, mastering your music, and polishing up everything that you've done. At this point now, you definitely know how to create music. Congratulations.